Ms. Fumiha.
Question 3, please.
Mr. Speaker, can I take question 3 to 7 together?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Non-biting midges, also known as chironomids, are a type of flying insect that thrive in water bodies, such as ponds, rivers, and reservoirs. Midges are part of natural aquatic ecosystems, and they are food for fishes and birds. Midges can multiply very rapidly, with each female adult midge laying up to 500 eggs in the water bodies. The eggs take a few days to hatch and become larvae, which live at the bottom of the river, of the reservoir. After about 2 weeks, they develop to become pupae, swim to the water surface, and emerge as adults. The adult midges live for only 1 to 2 days, during which time they remain above water bodies to mate and lay eggs to continue their life cycle. Midge emergences occur from time to time in several reservoirs, including Pandan, Bedok, Ponggol, Serangoon, Poyan, Tengeh, and Marina reservoirs, as well as Ponggol waterway. Midge emergences have been known to occur at Pandan Reservoir since the late 1970s. Each emergence can be as brief as 2 weeks or as long as 5 months. There are several factors that determine the scale and duration of the emergences, including the specific midge species and the environmental conditions such as rainfall, temperature, and water chemistry at time of the emergence. We have just experienced a period of hot weather, with July being the second warmest July recorded since 1929. This unusual hot spell hastened the midges' growth process, resulting in the situation at Pandan Reservoir. With climate change, we will experience more extreme weather, which will have a corresponding response from nature. Midges neither bite nor spread diseases, but they pose a nuisance to the public when they swarm in large numbers and, being weak flyers, get blown by wind into the surrounding residential areas. PUB takes a comprehensive suite of measures to mitigate these nuisance factors as far as is feasible. PUB monitors for midge emergence at reservoirs with known emergence by conducting frequent checks for larvae in samples of reservoir sediments or adult midges trapped around the reservoir vicinity. At Pandan Reservoir, PUB observed an increase in midge larvae since mid-June 2019. PUB kicked in mitigation measures swiftly when the midge emergence began in mid-July 2019. Similar to what I explained to this House previously in 2016, PUB's mitigation measures for midges include increasing the frequency and dosage of the application of biological liquid larvicide within the reservoir to kill midge larvae, and increasing the frequency of fogging and misting around the reservoir dike and surrounding vegetation to kill adult midges. These methods have been proven to kill midges at the relevant stages of their life cycle. PUB has also installed bright spotlights at the Pandan Reservoir pumping station and turns them on at night to attract the adult midges as they emerge from the reservoir. By keeping the midges within the reservoir area, PUB can then carry out targeted and effective measures such as fogging at these spots. Unlike the midge emergence at Pandan Reservoir in 2016, the current dominant midge species is considered a rare one that has not been studied in great detail. This species exhibits different behaviors from other species. For example, they hide in drains and culverts in the day and swarm above the drains in the evening. PUB has adapted by adding to the usual suite of measures. They have greased the drain walls to trap the midges when they land to rest and have targeted these areas for fogging. PUB has explored the use of free-moving oily paper within drains to increase the capture rates of adult midges, which have worked very well according to feedback from residents. PUB has also extended the existing 0.5 kilometer of netting on the reservoir dike by an additional 1 kilometer. This netting acts as a barrier to trap adult midges and reduces the number of adult midges that would otherwise be blown to the residential estate. PUB has worked closely with the West Coast Town Council to engage affected residents through multiple channels, such as dialogues, daily walkabouts, and distribution of flyers, and has advised affected residents on the actions they can take within their premises, such as switching off their lights when not in use, as midges are attracted to lights, as well as installing insect screens at their windows or drawing their curtains if necessary, if needed. But at the end of the day, we have to recognize that man cannot control nature. Midges cannot be eradicated, as they are part of the natural aquatic ecosystem and will emerge to breed, especially when aided by favorable environmental conditions. Climate change, as mentioned, will further complicate our efforts. Our reservoirs supply drinking water to the population, and we have to be careful to ensure that, and this is important, PUB's mitigation measures, both short and long term, do not end up compromising water quality. However, PUB remains committed to working with the town councils and advisors to minimize public inconvenience costs, while PUB will continue to find more effective mitigation measures. We also seek residents' understanding and tolerance should they find these insects in their homes.
Ms. Fu.
I thank the Minister for his response. Before I raise my supplementary questions to the Minister, I would like to thank PUB and Town Council teams for their very, very hard work in tackling the mass midge outbreak. Speaker, since July this year, residents living near Pandan Reservoir have suffered greatly from the mass emergence of midges. Their homes have been invaded by the midges. Corridors, lifts, and bus stops have been swamped. Cars, buses, bicycles, and motorbikes have been affected. And the midges stick to our clothes, really stick to your clothes, your hair, fly around your eyes, get into your nose, get into your food, and they are everywhere. This year's outbreak is the most severe we have witnessed yet, and also persisted for the longest time, impacting the daily lives of our residents. So some have likened it to being in a horror movie. Seriously, if you visit it, it's really scary. I thank residents who took time to join the dialogue sessions we've organized with PUB on the midge issues. There are some really great ideas that have been shared, and I would like to raise some for the Minister's consideration in my supplementary questions. Speaker, I have 4 supplementary questions. First, whilst I appreciate that fogging has been proven to be an effective way to kill adult midges, there are concerns among our residents about the health risk from exposure to chemicals from sustained fogging, particularly as the outbreak has lasted for an extended period. I would like to ask the Minister if PUB can find more effective fogging method to target midges at the reservoir as they emerge and keep them away from residential areas. 2, as the Minister shared, the midges issue cannot be solved or eradicated permanently. There, I would like to ask the Minister, how can residents be supported with insect screens for their flats, as installation of such features are costly, as well as other methods that PUB will consider to protect HDB flats and bus stops from nuisance of midges. Third, the most effective way to deal with midges is to eliminate them at source. So I know PUB uses biological larvicide, BTI, and using tons of it this time at the reservoir by injecting the larvicide into the reservoir's sediment. But you know, despite all that, the problem appears to persist. So I get constant question that I would like to ask the Minister, how PUB determines the effectiveness of BTI in controlling larva population at the reservoir? How can the injected BTI is expected to zero in on the midge larva given the vast area of the reservoir sediment? Fourth, besides installing nets at the reservoir to serve as barriers to midges flying towards the housing estate, I would like to ask if there are more trees and scrubs can be added to also serve as barriers and places for the midges to congregate so that they don't go into people's homes. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Thank you, the member, for the questions. I think this is a great opportunity for us to go back to our biology lessons. Like I mentioned before, this problem is really man versus nature. The kind of war man has never been known to win. Indeed, we can only suppress, we can only do our best, but we have to live with nature. In fact, we are the ones who are intruding into their living spaces. Specific answers to the questions on fogging. The pesticide we use is called permethrin. And this particular pesticide that we use in fogging has undergone WHO pesticide evaluation scheme and has been certified safe and suitable for use. In addition to using a safe pesticide, we also dilute it a lot, so that in addition to just thinking about killing this pest, we also don't want to harm the workers who are using them. So they are used in a way, in a frequency that is known and recommended by WHO, safe for human, safe for the operators, as well as for the people we are trying to help. Secondly, on the insect screens, I think this issue of what you do to help yourselves in your home has been well understood. It has, once you own your property, you own your home, you have to do what you can to protect yourselves, including sometimes we have residents who come to get help, for example, on the leaking or issues which are more pertinent to their own home living conditions. Technically speaking, they should be taking care of what they should be taking care of these issues. But I think there's no harm. We can see what we can do to help. Certainly from the advisors themselves, we can come together and look at what we can do, because this situation don't come all the time, not every year, and to put in something which will become a permanent fixture of what your resident will show itself to be, may also affect the kind of image the reservoir or the places around the reservoir should be. So I think we have to be very careful what kind of solution we want to implement with or for them. On BTI, the larvicide that we use to put into the water is a safe biological larvicide. It is actually a naturally occurring bacteria, soil bacteria, which produces spores which are toxic specifically to the digestive system of midge larvae. So as we put in the larvicide, we also monitor the quality of the water. So we can't put so much to kill, because there are more midges in the river. In the end, the quality of the water gets compromised. So there's a trade-off between killing enough or killing so much, or everything we kill ourselves. So we can't do that either. So there is a limit to which these measures can mitigate the issues that residents are facing. Finally, on trees and scrubs, I think we can work with NPARC and see first whether these are actually effective ways to prevent the midges coming in. And it's a more beautiful way, definitely, than putting screens. But whether it's an effective way to prevent the midges from coming into people's home, we don't want in the end that we also create new problems, people having different kind of pests because of the kind of trees that we plant near their homes or around the reservoirs.
Engineer Dr. Lee Biwa.
Thank you, sir. I noticed that Lower Seletar Reservoir was not mentioned by Minister among the water bodies that have midges problem. But my residents have been bringing up this issue of midges and mayflies. So I would like to ask Minister, will PUB carry out preventive measures for Lower Seletar Reservoir before it becomes like what my parliamentary colleague mentioned, horror movie scene? So I hope something can be done for Lower Seletar Reservoir area. Thank you.
We do monitor every reservoir and we take the appropriate measure. We don't want a sledgehammer for a small problem or small hammer for a big problem, so appropriately.
Dr. Chashilu.
I thank the Minister for the clarification. Just one clarification. Because I noted, part of the problem is climate change and something we can't alter. So I was wondering whether we've looked at ways of changing the microclimate around the reservoirs, right? Because these only happen in certain reservoirs, and I agree that the water, but there's been some studies that look at, the vegetation and the microclimate around the banks of the reservoirs. Can we look at that? Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will study all this. Thank you.
Ms. Fumiha.
I thank Minister for his response to my supplementary question. Minister, I understand this is part of nature, but I think for a community that is impacted by that, it's really bad. So I would like to propose for your consideration in collaboration with maybe HDB and other agency, given that this phenomenon cannot be eradicated, in fact, PUB say this may happen more regularly given the climate change. I think we should really seriously consider helping residents with protection against the nuisance created by midges, whether it were helping especially vulnerable families with screens, HDB nets, or definitely in public areas like bus stops so that it's bearable for people to be in those places to take public transport. So I urge the Minister to seriously consider this.
We will study how we can help residents. In fact, we must also take this in consideration, the kind of things we have to spend for when we try to tackle bigger issues in years to come, when climate change has spawned us. We have not really understood properly how it will affect Singapore. What the Prime Minister has mentioned are only those things that we know can happen and should start working from now. Issues around pests, in fact, more dangerously, and I will mention it in my next PQ, around mosquitoes. They are more imminent danger than perhaps what midges will present to us, and not just to particular areas around reservoir, but in fact the whole of Singapore. So in consideration of all those issues, yes, we will study them, we'll see what we can do for localities, but we also should know that our resources are limited. We have to put focus on what we need to do more importantly, and not over-promise, but better to over-deliver.